Okay, this is an article from the Associated Press. U.S. regulators okay genetically modified pig for food and drugs. From December 15th, 2020. U.S. regulators have approved a genetically modified pig for food and medical products, making it the second such animal to get the green light for human consumption. The first was a genetically modified salmon that has yet to enter the food supply, but it is in the works. But the company behind it says there are no imminent plans to sell it for meat. Well, that's reassuring. The pig is genetically engineered to eliminate the presence of alpha-gal, a type of sugar found in many mammals. The sugar makes its way into many products, including medications, cosmetics, and food, and can cause allergic reactions in some people. Now, before going forward, let's just stop for a moment and consider the implications of the sentence that I just read. We are in a situation where a sugar found in mammals, meaning living creatures that are sentient, is somehow making its way into all kinds of products that we use and are exposed to, including medications, cosmetics, and food. So I'm sitting here wondering, how in the world did this ever become a thing where animals are experimented on in such a way that things are extracted from them and then added to things that we use on a daily basis? Whose idea was this? I never signed up for a situation like this. And this is where I have great empathy for the vegan cause, not as it relates to diet, but as it relates to the treatment of animals and just the general idea that we don't need things like leather if it means we have to have factory farms that are slaughtering cattle in the hundreds of millions every year with no regard for their safety or general welfare, right? But there's a whole nother side of that, which is this and just testing in general on animals. I mean, we just have this detachment from the whole process where people will mention studies, scientific studies, all of the time. Well, this study says this, and that study said that, without realizing that that study was done on little mice or monkeys or some other kind of animal where they were purposefully given cancer or other horrific fatal diseases. I mean, I just read a study where they were working on the eyesight and trialing certain procedures that were attempting to restore eyesight in the blind, and they were experimenting on these mice, and they were purposefully making all of them blind. And you got to understand that half of those blind mice are the control, the placebo group. They're not going to get the treatment, right? So you're just horribly experimenting on all of these creatures, and it is sold to us as, well, this is helping human beings. What we learn in these studies will save human lives, so surely it's worth the few little animals that I'm never going to come into contact with losing their life. So the whole thing is just wild. But now we're at a step removed from just using them in studies. Now we're actually scientifically experimenting with their genes and modifying these creatures. The main goal of the company behind the pig, United Therapeutics Corp., is to develop medical products such as blood thinners that won't set off such reactions, said its spokesman Dewey Steadman. Eventually, the Silver Spring, Maryland-based firm hopes to develop a way for the pig's organs to be transplanted into people. I have to say, the Muslims are probably right about this whole don't eat pork thing. If we are in a situation where pigs are so genetically similar to humans that this corporation is attempting to develop a genetically modified pig that will be able to use those organs in human beings. If the genetic compatibility is so close that that is even theoretically possible, to the point where they're now trialing it and doing experiments on it, probably some form of weird cannibalism going on when we're eating bacon or other pork products. I would never tell you what to do, but just consider that one. Dwell on it for a little while. Think about it. The pig, called GalSafe, also has commercial potential as food, but Stedman said the company doesn't know when it might be able to secure an agreement with a meat producer to process and sell it. He noted the meat allergy the pig addresses, called alpha-gal syndrome, isn't yet considered a major issue. J.D. Hansen, policy director for the Center for Food Safety, noted that meat from the genetically modified pigs wasn't tested in people with the allergies. You're offering it up as something they can eat without knowing whether it addresses their allergy, Hansen said. The FDA said it didn't evaluate allergy-specific food safety since the company's application didn't include data on the preventing of such reactions. The Center for Food Safety has sued the FDA over the first genetically modified animal the agency approved for human food, salmon engineered to grow faster. The group said it's reviewing the agency's decision on the GalSafe pig posted Monday. Greg Jaffe of the Center for Science in the Public Interest said the FDA's approval of the GalSafe pig announced Monday is also concerning because it came without a chance for public comment. That's pretty crazy. Nobody was given notice, and all of a sudden there's an approved animal. He said, well, this is how it works when you're connected, and I'm going to get to that in a second. The company didn't disclose exactly how it altered the animal's DNA. Jaffe said the pig was produced by knocking out a gene responsible for producing the sugar and adding another that serves as a marker for the silenced gene. Jaffe said he's not aware of any rules on how pork from genetically modified pigs would need to be labeled to be sold in supermarkets. A representative for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which oversees meat labeling, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Stedman said the United Therapeutics pigs would be more difficult to produce than conventional pigs for meat because of requirements governing how they must be kept and slaughtered. He said there are about 25 GalSafe pigs at an Iowa farm. Long term, he said the goal is to combine the genetic modification with multiple other changes to make their organs acceptable for transplants in people. For years, researchers have been looking into the idea of transplanting pig organs as a way of eliminating shortages of donated organs. And this whole idea is so wild because there is an entire underground network of human trafficking / organ trafficking going on completely under the radar. I mean, nobody is even aware of this or talks about it. And then on the surface level of the media that we're all exposed to, they're sitting here saying, well, we have this shortage of organs going on, so we need to take these drastic measures so we have more options available as far as transplanting organs goes. Though there aren't any plans yet to sell meat from GalSafe pigs, the genetically modified salmon could become available in the U.S. soon. Aqua Bounty, the company that produces the fish, says it is determining the best time to harvest the salmon, which have been growing in indoor tanks at a plant in Indiana. What could possibly go wrong? Oh my goodness gracious. But anyway, getting back to United Therapeutics Corporation, the company behind this genetically modified pig, United Therapeutics Corporation, who is the CEO, Martine Rothblatt. That name might ring a bell for some of you who have been paying attention to this for a while, because Martine Rothblatt is not only a huge LGBTQ advocate because he transitioned into a she at some point in his life, But he is also a well-known transhumanist with connections to Kurzweil and Google. So this is the CEO of the corporation that had their genetically modified pig fast-tracked through FDA approval, to the point where there were not even public comments available on it, which is the ordinary process for something like this. Martine Rothblatt, she founded SiriusXM, a religion and a biotech, for starters. And this is the little bit about the genetically modified pig. On a Virginia farm, she's also raising genetically altered pigs in the hope that someday their lungs and other organs will be modified for use in human transplant, creating a nearly inexhaustible supply of organ donors. She just published Virtually Human, a big think manifesto on the rights of yet-to-be-created cyber-humans who might one day be uploaded with all of your thoughts, dreams, memories, and online activity and live for eternity as a sort of you. That's an interesting slip I had there where I almost said etorment. Etormity. For eternity as a sort of you. She founded a religion, the Terasem movement, which puts together her cultural Judaism, Zen-like yoga, and a deep belief in technology. One of the 4 founding beliefs, death is optional. The physical manifestation of this faith is a bodiless robot named and modeled after Rothblatt's second wife, Bina. The robot Bina 48 is just a head. It has a face made of frubber, whereas a good-looking wig has facial scanning software in her eyes, so that when her head whirs and clicks, then locks on your face, she's running your profile to see if she knows you. Bina 48 lives on a desk in rural Vermont, awaiting the day when man and machine are one. Far-fetched, you say. Well, go ahead and yuck it up. Rothblatt is buddies with Larry Page and Ray Kurzweil, who sort of run a little company called Google. Kurzweil, the futurist and director of engineering at Google, is on United Therapeutics' board of directors and thinks Bina 48 is a glimpse of the future. So this is what we are dealing with here. This is the company that is involved in this sort of research. And hey, from the outside looking in, to somebody who doesn't really know what's going on, this seems like a noble purpose. Hey, we're just trying to create this genetically modified pig so one day we'll be able to take their organs and use them in humans. Again, going right back to what I was discussing when I first started the recording about how you don't even think about the sentience of the creature itself, all these pigs, and the fact that you would just be harvesting them for their organs. Now, of course, that's no different than what we do now as it relates to harvesting animals for food, but I just want to reiterate that as many times as possible, that fact that is often left out of the thought process when you're discussing these sorts of things. Incidentally, they go into here that Rothblatt also managed to somehow create SiriusXM, the company, as she was involved in all of these other endeavors. So we're starting to get the idea here of the classic frontman or front woman. I don't know which way I should describe him, her as here. I don't want to be politically incorrect. But yeah, here's Kurzweil saying, she has, to my knowledge, a perfect track record in making her visions real, which is somewhat of a concerning implication given what he is working on right now. But you can see how they humanize these characters, front man, woman, or not. Here we go. Rothblatt dropped out of the satellite orbit because her and Bina's daughter was diagnosed at 5 with what is now called pulmonary arterial hypertension, an incurable lung disease. It progressively narrows the lung's arteries to the point of death. By 12, Genesis would faint all the time, her life seeping away in intensive care units. So Rothblatt sold out of Sirius, set to studying biology. The last such course she had taken was in 10th grade and formed United Therapeutics. Today, Genesis is 30, in good health, and does film production work for the now $6 billion firm. Martine led the company to developing a new FDA-approved pill for pulmonary arterial hypertension, Orenitram. Martine row backward. The stock price soared, and so did her incentive package. So in the process of all this, she actually allegedly cured a very rare lung disease. And this is where the alleged impetus comes from for her experimentation in biotech as it relates to organ transplants. That's him, her, the picture. But I wanted to get down here to where they describe the lab. It's kind of straight out of Westworld. Here we go. We are in a high-tech lab of lung biotechnology, a subsidiary of United Therapeutics. We are checking in on Rothblatt's clinical trial to reclaim marginal lungs not accepted for transplant. The facility is just across from the company's Spring Street headquarters. In a sealed room that looks like a surgical suite, tubes and airlines and flat screens displaying real-time medical data, everybody wearing paper overalls and masks and booties, are said lungs in a circular glass incubator. Yesterday they were breathing in the chest of a 56-year-old man, a 30-year smoker and drug user. Last night he died of a stroke. This morning they're here. They're big, huge actually, because the lungs tend to expand when not compressed by the rib cage. And the clear plastic dome fogs with condensation. The staff, led by Thomas Hartnett, has been running fluids and medication through the lungs to maintain and assess them while removing excess fluids. A bronchoscope with a tiny camera runs through the main passageways, offering views of the interior. The data they're picking up goes to the cloud, so any doctor on the system with internet access, even a smartphone on a golf course, can determine if it might work for transplant. Should the process be approved in the United States, it would significantly reshape the high-pressure ecosystem of lung transplants. About 8,000 lungs are donated each year, but on average, over a decade, only 1,600 find continued life in someone else. Rothblatt's project is to preserve those marginal donations out of body for up to 24 hours so that they might be maintained while a suitable recipient is found. The process is legal in Canada, and Rothblatt's company is among a few trying to win FDA approval. It has worked on more than 40 lungs since May, practicing and documenting results. Once the process is approved, the company will start putting the lungs in patients on a trial basis. And on it goes, detailing more of this and what her daughter dealt with and how she started this company to find a cure for the rare disease that she had. So yeah, welcome to the brave new world. We are now to the point where we are genetically modifying animals with the intent of using their organs in humans. Learn something new every day, right? That's it. Later.